Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy Podcast for the week of, for episode 418, that is, for the week of September 10th, 2019.
Jesus Christ.
There we go. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who is here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
And Charlie.
We got Lane and Nadia sitting back.
Live
Lane,
studio audience, baby.
you're always welcome to join. Nadia, you as well. If you got something to say, you're always welcome to join. Scott may wander in an hour. We'll see what happens. Not a lot to talk about this week. We got some questions, but there's a couple big things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a little bit about Teen Titans. Titans Season 2, Episode 1. I'm going to talk about Doomsday Clock 11, and we're going to talk about that later. So those will be a little spoiler tag beforehand. So if you don't know anything about it, are you done with? Did you finish Doomsday Clock, Charlie? You done?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we can talk about
I
that.
gotta flip through it again. I read it last week.
Before we get to that, though.
I read it like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, because of the
Because I'm awesome and can pick up a pallet with a truck.
Yeah. We got our books early. That's always nice. Yay, holidays.
Except when it's the reverse.
So actually, speaking of holidays, for the first time in many years, the last week of this year, Christmas is actually falling on a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So we will not have books on Wednesday. We'll actually have them on Thursday. I mean, the stores will get them prior to that, but we're not actually going to have books in stock. Stores. I actually believe stores cannot sell them on Christmas Day if they're open. They have officially moved their release date. As far as I know, it's officially moved to Thursday that week. So even if your local comic shop is open,
they should be selling them.
They're not going to be selling them. Yeah, or they shouldn't be selling them. I don't think you're going to get a lot of secret shoppers that are willing to go out on Christmas Day to local comic shops to find out if they're selling comic books. But maybe, I don't know.
Desperate times.
Yeah. But before we get on to that, I got to talk about something that I watched over the weekend.
Just get it out of your system.
I am. I'm so excited. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2. But not, sorry,
I thought you were talking
Galaxy
about something else. I'm stoked for this.
Volume 2. But not just any Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I watched the hashtag release the Leanne Hill cut of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Now, for longtime listeners, Bryce included, you may remember when Guardians 2 came out. My review of it was less than stellar. I think we were fairly mixed on it. Some people liked it. I thought some people were a little.
I didn't.
Kevin, I think it was kind of eh.
I was mixed on the whole.
Charlie, you liked it, I think.
Yeah, overall.
Yeah.
I didn't. I had a lot of problems. The same problems you had, I didn't.
Yeah.
Or I had as well.
So for years, I've been saying almost every joke in that movie is completely just superfluous to the main plot. Mm-hmm. You can just pull those jokes out and it affects nothing. I want to go in and edit the movie and take out all the jokes. Yeah. So for our 19th anniversary, I get a little present from Leanne on a flash drive. And I'm like, what's this? She's like, why don't you play it? I'm like, this is an hour and 40 minutes. What is this? I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, this is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Oh, they just skipped the entire Baby Groot scene. Oh, look. She edited out all the jokes in Guardians of the Galaxy 2
and
for
Drax.
me. So here is the majority. There's little stuff, right? A lot of little things. The ends of a lot of scenes just get cut off because, again, it's this totally useless joke that's thrown on that ruins
the whole
otherwise
gone, right?
That ruins an otherwise good scene, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, the entire intro is basically gone, right? The entire fight. I actually said you could cut that entire fight out.
Yep.
So they charge, right? And then she just cut that all out, and then they all get knocked back. That entire opening sequence of Baby Groot dancing is you just cut it right out, right? It's like the beast just knocks him back, right? Like you just cut out the entire Baby Groot scene. That's completely gone. Taserface is in the movie clearly, but he's never mentioned by name. They never talk about him. They never do any of those jokes. Every scene that he's in past that. So when he's torturing Rocket, he's torturing Rocket, right? So I watched the whole movie, right? So that's gone. What else is gone?
The scene with Baby Groot stealing the fin?
Yes. Again, they're just like, go and get it. It's in this drawer. And I forget the character's name. It's his brother,
His
right?
brother, yeah.
He just walks back with him with Baby Groot. Baby Groot like walks in and he starts to steal it, and then he just comes back and the brother has Baby Groot and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I fucked up." Right? Like it totally works because you just cut all that. You just cut those scenes out. They're not talking about tape for 20 minutes. He just says Groot, go deliver this bomb. And Baby Groot's like, okay, and he goes and delivers the bomb and hits it and blows it up. Right? It's awesome.
I need to watch this cut.
It's great, right? Drax is barely in the fucking movie, right? Almost every scene with Drax is cut out because he's a fucking buffoon in this movie.
Yeah, I think
terrible.
You told me about the best Drax scene in the movie is when he's talking to Mantis.
Oh yeah. Every scene with a lot of scenes with Mantis are cut out because of those Drax scenes, right? Because it's so bad. They ruined Drax in that second movie. It's so bad.
When they're talking outside of the house,
yeah, she's just it just cuts to a scene with Mantis where she's like, I'm very awkward and I don't have a lot of social,
skills.
Social skills. And then the scene just cuts and it just goes on to something else, right? No jetpack hurting his nipples.
You had the penis jokes though, right?
No, all cut.
She cut the peanut.
All cut.
God,
Him making fun when he's like, you have a penis. That means you have like all that's gone, right? Like I tell you, like 90% of Drax.
I think your favorite scene that's gone besides the Baby
Mary
Groot
Poppins
intro.
gone. Mary Poppins is gone.
Huh?
The Mary Poppins scene's gone. Right? That's
I'm talking about the ship jumping.
That's gone.
Scene is gone.
They just take off and then they land. Then they arrive. Now you lose Stan Lee, right? Sad, but I didn't even like that scene. That the potential was there, but it's not a good scene.
Yeah.
So that entire
he's at the end of the movie.
Gone. No, he don't. That's during that scene.
No, but at the end of the movie, he's like, "All right, where's everybody going?"
I think she cut that too.
Oh, she cut that. Okay.
Cut the teenage Groot. Gone. Yeah, it's so good. It's so much better.
I need to see this.
So it cuts a solid half an hour out of the movie. Right.
Nice.
Again, a half an hour of just jokes. Every character just does their thing. You forget Rocket is such a fucking asshole in the original cut of the movie. Yeah. They ruined Drax. They kind of ruined Rocket too.
Yeah.
He doesn't come off quite. He's not quite the same in this.
Yeah.
Because all the scenes of him just being an ass are gone. Yeah. Right. So they're fighting, but it's not as bad as it was in the original movie. It's great.
I need to see this. You need to let us see this. This is
clearly it's not. We're not Hollywood, official editors, and we didn't have the cast to reshoot scenes, right? So clearly, a couple times it doesn't really work. Right, but it works.
It's jarring, but
there are a
fine.
couple scenes that just end, right? And there's a few scenes with music where obviously, but I stand by my original claim. The vast majority of the movie works perfectly fine when you take that horrible joke out. What's her face? Not Gamora. Nebula. When she takes over the whole gang, right? The Taserface's gang and everything like that, right? And when she shoots him in the top of the head, she's just like, she has some line, and then the scene just ends. Or she says like, "Oh, were you boys looking for me or something?" And then it ends, and you're like, "Okay, cool." She took over the gang. Original cut, right? She has to eat that stupid fruit, and she spits it out.
Yeah. Did she cut the fruit?
No. It's gone. All that stuff's gone. Every sequence about the fruit's gone.
Yes.
Yeah, totally gone. All gone. So there's still funny moments, right? Like Drax going out, at the start of the fight when Quinn's like, okay, a-holes, so there's elements like that. That's not a joke, right? That's just, that's just him saying stuff. Drax kind of flying around.
So you still have the scene where he's like this, inside the monster, trying to use his blades?
No, that's all cut.
Oh,
all cut.
God.
All cut. He goes into the monster and then he's spit out of the monster, right? That's the cut, right? All the scenes.
I'm curious to see how many of our listeners are going to start demanding.
I'll see if I can find. I'll see if because I know there is some fan site that takes fan edits of movies. I wonder if I see if I could submit it to it and get it up there because I stand by my original claim. Having now watched it, easily 90% of it works.
Yeah.
There's a few scenes that just aren't going to work, right? Because it's like, fine, whatever. But easily 90% of the cuts are all but flawless. They changed nothing with the movie. It totally works. It's such a better movie. It's such a better movie with it. I don't want any of those dumb jokes.
Well, we must say you have an amazing wife.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I will acknowledge that must have taken a long time to do.
She said she worked on it just slowly for a few weeks.
Our amazing live studio audience.
Yeah, just it didn't premiere, and she's like, I had to watch the movie many times because I had a.
Yeah.
Well, and she did keep if she was like if the scene was then referenced later, she didn't want to cut that reference. So it actually, like I said, it works pretty well.
I mean, there's a fair amount that goes into editing, especially when you're cutting something up. You still have to retain.
Yeah.
What's
the plots, like the whole thing. So I even said you could cut out that entire fight. Just have them start at the gold people. I forget what they're called.
The Adam Warlock people.
Yeah, because they're talking about having taken those batteries, right? It's like you don't even need that fight. You can just be like, oh, we got these batteries, right? Like, and you just start right there. Like they just fight this random monster, and then they get some batteries. Like, there's no plot there. It's a completely
Wait, so she
random.
cut out the whole thing where they're in the room with them, and
No, that's all there. But she cuts out all the stuff. She cuts out all the stuff with Groot or with Rocket, and so they're just like, "What did you do?" Oh, he stole the stuff. Okay, fine. Like Rocket just did it. He just stole it. Like again, it's not necessary within the movie, right? Really good. Really, really good. I'll see if I can find a way to distribute this because I think it's such a better version. Actual comic book news. We didn't have much this week.
I thought you were going to segue into the other thing that you watched over the weekend.
I watched It Chapter 2.
No.
What else did I watch over the weekend?
It's back, bitches.
Oh, we'll talk about Titans in a bit because we'll have some spoilers for that.
Because that's like your favorite gift now.
Titans are back, bitches. Tom Taylor and artist Bruno Redondo, who were the writer and artist of Injustice, are coming back for the new Suicide Squad comic.
I'm stoked for this.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Like, Tom Taylor's Deceased has been amazing.
Yep. Yeah, Injustice was real good. Deceased has been really good. One of the difficult parts of the Suicide Squad, the modern comic, has been... and he even kind of mentions that there's an article in Hollywood Reporter where he's like, he goes, I'm very paraphrasing here, but he's like, nothing against those books, but when you fill the Suicide Squad with a bunch of famous characters,
you can't kill anybody.
You can't, right? Yeah. Exactly. So he created a bunch of new characters. Plus, he's really going through like the depth of the old backlog of DC characters to pull characters, and not just to kill them for no reason, but it's not Amanda Waller running the team, so it's someone new. Because all this spins out of the events of Event Leviathan. So we're going to get a new people in charge of Task Force X.
Spoilers.
And Harley and Deadshot are still on the team, but it sounds like those can kind of.
Well, I think the best use of Suicide Squad is kind of have the rotation, but you're not only rotating in fresh meat, you're rotating in and out, like you said, the more popular characters.
Yeah.
So, like, Harley and Deadshot are on it for a while, so on and so forth. And then they get shelved, and then it's Captain Boomerang or, like, you kind of have...
I do acknowledge that in a lot of ways Suicide Squad should be more similar to Mission Impossible, where you have a task and you pick your team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was only later in Squad where you kind of got a little settled down with who was on the team. In the modern day, they do that a lot.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Adam Glass New 52 stuff.
Yeah.
But again, what that book suffered from was you knew who was going to die.
Yeah. So clearly unlikely that they're going to kill Harley Quinn for anything serious. But yeah, a bunch of new characters, a bunch of other characters. He doesn't. It doesn't sound like he wants to kill characters just in every issue constantly. And that's not. I mean, that could be fun in a way, but that's what Deceased is for, or Injustice, right? So, but Tom Taylor's a great writer, and I think it's a good choice there. So, yeah, there wasn't a ton of comic news this week. Are you in comic movie stuff?
Wait,
very, very
what are
light?
we talking about? There was huge comic book news this past
very
week.
Very light. What's that?
This ginormous news about Doomsday Clock 12.
That it's coming in December?
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm hearing. We'll see.
So what was the bet?
Fingers crossed.
What was the bet again?
I thought it was for $10,000. That's what I heard. But Kevin Sharp can remind me next time he's on. If it ships in January, I mean, just a cup of coffee or something. But if it ships in December, better be ready to pay up. But we will know more about Doomsday Clock if it's again officially released in December, and if so, countdown's on, baby. Every week on Wednesday, I'm gonna have my countdown. Follow me on Twitter. Doomsday Clock 11. We are going to talk about that a little bit here. So full spoilers. Came out last week. I'll give everyone, if they want to fast forward a minute or two. There's actually not a ton to say about 11. I think there's a couple big moments. I mean, Charlie, you literally just finished reading it. I think this was a good recap of the whole series to date.
Yeah, it was a nation of stuff that they've sort of talked around a few times.
Yeah, it just laid a lot of the bigger plots in a little more chronological way, via Lex Luthor, of course, right? Some of the background, some of the fights with Black Adam and his whole, the whole. How do I put this? There's a whole world going on outside of the sort of small room that Doomsday Clock takes place in, right? The characters kind of are focused in these really small little intimate areas, but you have the entire Kandak army of superheroes now, or supervillains, trying to liberate all the superheroes on Earth and get Clark and get Superman. And
so I might be wrong, but are those all Kandak heroes, or is that other countries lending their support at that point?
Right, they're working with Black Adam. Yeah, because we kind of now have a pretty good idea of what happened with the U.S. government and Lex Luthor and the Superman theory and all this stuff. And definitely a lot more info of where Dr. Manhattan has been through the DC universe, and they have all those photos that he drops, which we saw in some of the previous issues, and so now we know this is sort of happening through time as sort of breadcrumbs as he's dropping the photos of him with Nathaniel Dusk. So Nathaniel Dusk, that's his name. That's his character's name, right? Yeah. So to me, there's one. I mean, next issue is the big issue, and we're hearing it's even oversized, like 40 pages or something like that. I don't know. We'll find out. But there is one big scene in this that is very important to current comics, and that is the scene with Ozymandias and Saturn Girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because a lot of the where does this fit in continuity? How does this work? Is stuff taking place after it or before it? This coming out the same day as the Legion of Superheroes. Well, one shot, Millennium. Sorry, the two shot. The first part of the two shot from
really
Bendis is now confirmation that the whole metaverse concept of things change because Superman changes. So this is, early rebirth. We saw Saturn Girl in Batman. We saw her in was there another title? Was she in Suicide Squad or something? She was in I think another title. But as that previous world has sort of shifted and changed around Superman, this version of Saturn Girl is now gone because her version of the classic version of Legion superheroes are now gone, right? The ones that were around pre New 52.
What's funny in this is she in this she fades away,
right?
But the ring doesn't, because the Legion's still around,
right? So, and then we get Millennium,
yes.
So with Saturn Girl, well, she's not in this issue, but the concept of the Legion is still around, and she was in Superman, and she'll be in the next issue. So at least for Legion, the continuity of how does this exist is answered, I think, in Doomsday Clock, that the character is not dead. She, the Legion can shift back and forth at will because of the entire metaverse concept that Johns came up with Doomsday Clock. But we now know that the pre-New 52 version of Legion is gone. This is now the rebirth Legion.
Yeah.
Well, no, we don't have the. Well, I think she wasn't she from the New 52 version?
No, because
this Saturn girl.
Well, the New 52 version was the original Legion. Was the pre-New 52 Legion. Remember, they were in the future.
Right, that's right.
That was the one weird thing with Legion, because they were like, we're stuck in the past and we're stuck in the future. We can't go back.
Yeah, they were cut off.
Right.
Yeah.
Time's cut off. And there was nothing in those books that was like, oh, everything's different now. No, that was just normal Legion,
yeah.
right? And so that version is now gone. Mm-hmm. She was kind of the last remnant of that. But there will always be a Legion. There will but fucking now Ozymandias has a Legion flight ring. Ugh. But what's he say about wow, I'm totally blanking on his name.
Green Lantern?
No. I mean, the Lantern's in the cage, but Johnny Thunder. He's like, oh, the past can't change, right? It's already happened. So I think what we'll see is a kind of a return to a classic JSA setup, and that's what's coming out of Justice League,
yeah.
right? And but a new take on Legion.
His line to Johnny Thunder is, "Quit crying, old man. You're from the past, and the past won't be erased."
Right. All right. So it's not so much the future's erased; it's just changed because that's how the metaverse works.
So, is the guess at this point, at the end of Doomsday Clock, Superman's going to shift again to explain where continuity is now, and while it's...
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Superman, because the Lex in this is not the Lex in Justice League, right?
Yeah.
Vastly different. So this, there was some, I was reading some theories that people believe like Justice League and the books affected by Justice League are post Doomsday Clock. That No Justice and on are post Doomsday Clock, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. That the entire so at this point it could be Dr. Manhattan was what is one of the causes of the weakening of the source wall and all this stuff, right, from dimensional travel and all that. So I'm wondering if they're going to roll that. I wonder if they're going to mention any of the No Justice and current Justice League stuff in Doomsday Clock, or if Doomsday Clock will just sort of end with, and now this is Superman. And I get the feeling Doomsday Clock will not acknowledge anything else, but the current books should then go, okay, and now this explains the last 2 years. Because Snyder had said...
When did the price... Like, how old is the price now?
The Batman Flash one?
Flash.
A year, maybe? A little less than a year.
Well, because remember also Wally had that stuff in Heroes in Crisis where his...
Yeah. No, I guess what I'm trying to figure out in my head right now is I kind of feel like I could argue that everything since Bendis has gone over to DC could be considered the stable post-Doomsday Clock shift.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it could...
Because, so... And in Justice League, we get a different kind of glimpse from Snyder of what Brainiac's doing. Mm-hmm. He's not capturing cities anymore. He's capturing moments of time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see how
if that comes affected by this,
comes into play with this.
Could be. Well, what Snyder had said was Justice League, Legion, Doomsday Clock, like, give it time. These all meet up at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to be you have to wait for Doomsday Clock 12. 12 will be the thing that now, all this now makes sense, right? It explains sort of the big shifts that have happened in the books. Because we even have, like, Commandy in Legion, and then Commandy in Justice League at the same time, and they're not it's not the same.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if Rose's travel through Legion...
I'll be very interested to see the details on Doomsday Clock 12's solicitation.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big, giant, redacted page.
Which is fine, as long as it has a page count.
I'm hoping 40 pages. I'm expecting 40 pages. And that might be the these bigger delays, they're like, well, we can just stretch this out, have it at this and this. We get it out the last week of the year.
That was sort of the thing when we first started talking about delays. I'm like, if it gets pushed out long enough, they're just going to drop the last issue on Christmas.
Yeah. I would think that's likely.
Even if they could have gotten it out sooner, they're just going to drop it on Christmas if it gets delayed to that point.
I would think that's likely. I would think they're just going to give themselves to Christmas.
I did give Ryan a situation where he would lose the bet. And that is if they did it issue 13.
I don't think they will. I think they'll wrap it up in 12. I don't think they're going to want to drag it out any longer than they already have.
No, but
as much as I love Jeff Johns, I think it would be a horrible, horrible idea for him to take on more comic writing right now.
Yeah.
What is it? No, I think what you said earlier about Doomsday Clock being 11 being kind of like getting all the ducks in order and getting us ready for what 12 is going to eventually hit us with, because at some point Superman's going to punch Dr. Manhattan. And I think we've been waiting for this for like a while.
I mean, something's going to happen.
So.
I am a little amazed that a lot of the teasing and stuff that they did around the series was around sort of the confrontation between Dr. Manhattan and Superman. And we just had to wait how many years to get to that? That's
how many
literally
years,
happening in issue 12.
Yeah.
I was expecting that to happen in like issue 6 or something.
2017?
Well, they do. I mean, everyone, they all do confront him, right? Just
not Superman.
Not Superman. Yeah. That was a good issue.
That was.
Yeah. So we'll.
No, I mean, for all the delays and everything aside, Doomsday Clock is a work of art. It's a great comic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I can't wait for the Absolute that will come out in 2 years or something.
That's going to be delayed before.
Very, very excited to see where it ends. And yes, December 26th. Fingers crossed.
What is your feelings on them? Because are they still doing the 2 volumes?
Yep. Volume 1 comes out, I think, in November.
That's the worst.
Then the 2 volumes, the combined version will come out down the road. It's fine.
I know, but it's just...
that's why I said I need to wait 2 years for the Absolute. Yeah. I figured that's the amount of time it's going to take.
Absolute or Premiere? Or Oversized, I mean.
Oh, I'm guessing it's going to be 2 years till the Absolute. There probably will be a deluxe before that.
It'll be deluxe and then Absolute. It'll be way after that. It's going to be 2 years to the deluxe. Not.
I could see them rushing out the deluxe once it's complete.
I don't know. I still don't have a deluxe Mr. Miracle.
Yeah.
Soon.
Well, it was White Knight that was listed with the deluxe, not Mr. Miracle, right?
Or they've talked about it. Yeah.
I'll believe it when they solicit it.
For anyone that wants, White Knight and Mr. Miracle hardcovers are back in print. Beautiful hardcover too. We sold a few copies online, past the ones we've sold in the store. So if you missed out the copy, you want to wait till the deluxe version. You can grab that. So I actually don't have a ton more to say about Doomsday Clock 11 because I think most of it was sort of just a nice recap, kind of prepping everyone for the end.
It's like that calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Even though everything in it is chaotic and
there's big stuff. Yeah. There's a lot going on in the issue, but we were like Charlie said, the big fight is now. The big event is next issue. So,
which is why when you said the rumor is 40 pages, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
I kind of almost figured this was going to be the big issue and 12 is the wrap up, but it might just be everything in 12, right? So yeah, and I don't know. I mean, again, mimicking part of what happened in. This also could dovetail into whatever DC's plan is for 2020 because a lot of this is running on Year of the Villain. Will Johns use elements of Doomsday Clock to work into Perpetua and Lex? I mean, probably not, but you never know. Maybe just tonally similar, right? That they're like, we're not going to say Dr. Manhattan is necessarily involved, but we can sort of
have we talked about how this delays has affected Shazam?
Well, I don't think it's Doomsday Clock. Shazam's just horribly delayed, and they've canceled the next 3 issues and are resoliciting them. So very late.
Yep.
I think it should be 5 or 6 months late for the next issue of Shazam. So very frustrating.
All right,
let's talk about Titans.
What?
We're gonna move on to Titans real quick.
I didn't watch it yet.
I did.
I'll keep it spoiler light for you.
I'd end up having to watch it just to be prepared for the podcast. And Toby wanted to talk to me about it.
Titans is back. Yeah, I wish Toby was here because I know they're doing their big event today. I would have liked because he did not really like the first season, so I like to get his opinion on this one. But
So let me start. I mean, I haven't seen it, but my question coming out of season 1,
I'll keep it spoiler. I'll keep it spoiler.
Which I loved was, does the first episode transition you from the not the best ending of a first season into a second season?
This is like episode 1.5.
This is the finale to season 1.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like half of. It's half of season 1 finale. It's like 3/4 of it is season 1 finale. 1/4 of it is start of season 2.
Okay.
Right. You know the villain, season 2. You've seen the trailers,
Deathstroke.
right? Deathstroke,
yeah.
right? So we get a little bit of Deathstroke at the end.
Okay.
And it does feel like, I mean, and right? Trigon is in there at the end, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen what he looks like, but
no, but I mean, you saw the last episode,
yeah.
right? So obviously they temporarily take care.
Raven apparently finally has the gem in her forehead.
Yeah, so they temporarily take care of Trigon again. I'll keep no major spoilers here for you, Brock. I don't know. Again, I don't even know there's a ton to spoil because they defeat Trigon. Now they're moving on to the next season. And it's Deathstroke.
That's the thing. That's what I wanted to know was, does it feel like a good transition from where they ended the first season to getting into the second season?
I felt like a very deliberate closure on the first season so they could move forward to a very different second season.
And it felt like a closure of the tone.
Yes.
Yeah, more, it definitely, I don't think we'll get too many. Well, there was a handful of F-bombs and stuff in this episode. So they may keep the language.
So I had problems with the first season for the tone. I am actually hopeful for the second season based on trailers and then watching the premiere. I think they acknowledged that some people, myself very strongly included, had an issue with that tone for Titans.
Okay.
And I feel like they're course correcting in the right direction.
So they're scaling back the gruff voice, is what you're telling me.
I think it's going to be, I don't want to say lighter, because again, we are talking Deathstroke, but I don't think it'll be quite as grim as the first season was in a lot of ways.
For me,
they feel more like their characters by the end of this episode.
Because for me, all it really comes down to is it's okay to have the villain be grim.
Yeah.
It's okay for a lot of the stories to be really dark and serious. But the Titans as a group shouldn't feel like they're dark and...
Yeah, even Raven by the end of the episode was not... I mean, there's a moment where they, after they defeat Trigon, where they're standing around that van, and they're kind of like, oh, we're gonna go this way, you guys go that way. It feels like that was shot now. Like, the previous scene was shot last year, and this scene was shot now.
Yeah.
There's a real dramatic cut.
Yeah, okay.
It is not... it doesn't make it bad. It's just, we are now on season 2.
Because the thing is from the trailers that I've seen so far, it seems to be that they kind of upped the comic book element.
For sure.
The color palette is a little more comic book saturated versus just the doom and gloom that we got from season 1.
They go to their new hideout, right? They did not pull out to a giant T.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But, I think most people, if you thought season 1 was this is way too dark for me and I loved it. I
didn't mind the
But I love this
tone.
too. I'm fine either way.
I didn't mind the tone in season 1. I think for me the difficulty with season 1 was it was a very, very awkward ending to that season with just because the episode... you have the episode that was
I like him ended. I like it with him ended. Well, because here's the problem. I think if they ended with this episode, except for the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes of it or so, if they ended with this episode, I would have been well, you have to have a starting second season episode that just explains a bunch of crap. So this, you end with a cliffhanger right before the final battle. This episode was super actiony. You're in the middle of it from minute 1. And then it just takes the last 15, 20 minutes and sort of sets everything else up. I I actually think that's a really smart move because it kept the episode.
No, I don't
moving
like
and
that. That I understand completely. I think the difficult part I had with the last few episodes of Titans was it was jarring because it was the episode. Most of the last episode was them in a world in their heads,
right?
And it was just. And from the
and you see more of that in this episode, but that's Trigon. Like I'm totally fine with that.
No, but that's the thing is like I think that we didn't get it. There was it's just jarring at where they cut it, like you said. But I think that's why I was like, does this episode kind of redeem that and push it forward?
I think unless you absolutely hated the first season and never watched past like the second episode. If you watched all of the first season, I think you will really enjoy this episode.
And honestly, if you couldn't handle the first season and didn't make it through, just watch the last 15, 20 minutes of this and see where they're taking it. Okay. Like
Deathstroke looks awesome.
I really, really, really kind of feel like they have a very deliberate shift in the show where they're like, we have resolved this aspect of the show, so we can move forward to new aspects of the show.
How was the new Bruce?
It's not Bruce Wayne as you know him. It's not Justice League Batman, right? Dora Mormont, that's his name, right? Game of Thrones.
Mormont?
Forget the actor's name. So terrible about this. But he's a great older Batman. Now, if you look at
older Batman or older Bruce.
Older Bruce.
Okay.
If you look at Dick Grayson, right? If Dick Grayson's 32 here, Batman would be
almost 60.
60, right? Right? And right. Exactly. No, 100%.
Well,
so he's clearly a little bit older than I probably would want Justice he's clearly older than I want Justice League Batman. But you say you tell me Titans takes place like approaching Batman Beyond time? Because in this show, again, this isn't the formation of the Titans. They've already been the Titans. They have a whole thing with Dick and Donna, right? So the Titans have already been around. We are just getting Raven and Starfire we're just very late.
Yeah, we're just getting... Well, that's the thing is we've always had kind of these teams that start out one way and then... but grow to something else and are a completely different team at another point. I mean, Titans have been Teen Titans, New Titans. Like
it would be like if Starfire and Raven joined this Titans, like the Rebirth Titans for the very first time, right? Okay. Where clearly Donna has been around. You know, Donna and Dick have a history, and I know Aqualad's going to be in this season.
According to the season 1, I mean. Dick has he
had a lot of relationships.
I mean, Dick had his dick in a lot of.
He gets around.
Yeah. And then he just stabs dicks. I mean, he's just all about the dick.
I love it. But yeah, no, I really liked it. The effects were, the effects were what they are. It's decent.
The same as
sure. It's not $1 billion movie. I don't expect it to look like Endgame.
What is it? Was Ravens a little bit more like mystical versus horror-y? Because during the first season, her effects were kind of
very horror,
like horror driven,
which is fine. Fine. I actually like that a little bit, but not. She doesn't really use her powers too much. Only once, kind of at the very end.
Because I think, like for me, I think it was. I enjoy the Titans. I enjoyed the take, but I think there was something about these Titans that I think just needed a slight tweak, and I'm curious to know if that's what you like. If you guys feel that. The tweaks that they made are in a good direction.
At the end, yeah. The tonal shift I feel was fine. Again, I'll
probably be binging it in like 5 weeks. So.
I liked the first season, so if this was just as dark and gritty as the first season, fine, right? But I also really like more lighter Titans.
I mean, it's no Doom Patrol.
Yeah, no. Doom Patrol was way funnier than
I love
Titans.
Doom Patrol.
Yeah, and that fits those characters.
Doom Patrol's awesome. Like it's probably my favorite.
Doom Patrol is really good.
TV show.
Doom Patrol is very, very good. It's Titans though, man. That shot of Donna Troy when she's like they're visualizing the costumes and she just turns around the costume. I'm like, oh, that's fucking perfect. Like it's so good. And Jason Todd is still amazing. He's such a little shit. I love him. He's so fucking terrible. Oh, he's great. He's so good. Charlie? He's a piece of shit, and he's so awesome.
I do enjoy the Jason Todd bits, not as much as you do, apparently.
I love him. That's how you play Jason Todd. Just you want to fucking just punch him in the face. You hate him.
Yes.
Is you hate him so much that when he finally gets crowbarred,
You're going to feel terrible.
Feel terrible.
Oh, God. I hope they don't. Oh, but they probably will. It's really good. Jason Todd's so good. Okay.
So go watch Titans.
Yeah. We'll touch back on Titans kind of probably end of the season or if something major happens. I know we're going to get that episode where they're all in costume with Aqualad, so can't wait for that. We got a bunch of questions, some on Patreon, some on
The Twitter.
The Twitters. What do we got here? We got some Patreon ones. Let's hear from Verum Libertas.
And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we may have an email from the past.
No. Verum Libertas says, MCU Phase 4. Nothing looks like $1 billion movie on paper. While a surprise is possible, what does Disney do if returns on these movies are way down? Good question. I've thought similar things. I also thought Guardians of the Galaxy no one would care about, right?
Yeah.
To me, we've talked about this. Not every movie needs the same budget. Not every movie should be expected to bring the same amount of money back.
No, but when you have Endgame, Captain Marvel, and Black Panther all come out in the same year, you might want to, or Infinity War, Captain Marvel, and Endgame.
Captain Marvel,
Black Panther.
Okay.
Captain Marvel.
So
and
either
Endgame
way, you have a 2-year time span of movies where everything was setting new records left and right. Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, but that being said, for longevity purposes and stuff, you can't go into it being like, if this movie doesn't make $1.5 billion, it's a failure.
Well, they do. The companies absolutely do that. They shouldn't.
They do that if the projection and the budget requires a significant return like that. But they don't watch Ant-Man and Wasp and go, that's a failure because it didn't bring in $1.5 billion.
Well, they hopefully understand that after Endgame, you might get some, Spider-Man is sort of a different thing. The success of Spider-Man, that's what I'm thinking of. Captain Marvel, Endgame, and Spider-Man. But Black Panther as well, and Infinity War, right? I mean,
we had Black Panther. 2 years ago, we had Black Panther, Infinity War, and Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah, but I mean, five of the 6 were $1 billion movies.
And then we had Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Spider-Man and
Spider-Man.
Those
so
are all...
in the past 2 years, we've had 6 movies that have made shit tons of
5 of those
money.
were $1 billion movies. So, but yeah, I assume Disney has to understand that the potential for some of these is not as great, but Blade has the potential to maybe surprise us. Shang-Chi has the potential to surprise us if they can get the right people involved and the movies are good. I don't think there's any world in which the returns are way down. I mean, yes, no movie's going to make $1.5 billion or $2 billion probably, but again, like Charlie said, if you have a lot of movies that cost $150 million and you have a lot of movies that make $6 or $7 million or $600 or $700 million, that's perfectly fine. Will they break $1 billion? Oh, maybe. But
I think it's one of those things where, again, the momentum that we had going into Endgame was built up for 10 years.
Yeah,
so,
you're kind of restarting a little bit now.
This phase. This phase is definitely a restart and building up. And I mean, this phase. I mean, the last phase was 11 plus movies.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So phase 4 could end up being 16 goddamn movies, and it spans 8 years.
And obviously FF has the potential to be huge. If they do a Dark Avengers at the end, if they do a fourth, Guardians 3/Thor 4, that's the $1 billion movie. So yeah, there's the one
where we're gonna get the hashtag Lian cut.
You can't edit Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, why not?
It's impossible because you'd have to cut Thor out of the movie, and it wouldn't work.
Plus, I would be angry if you cut Stan Lee out of the movie. So,
Verum also says, "How far off base is Rob Liefeld on Twitter about DC Comics recently? I'm a lifelong Marvel zombie. Despite some missteps, I've always bought more DC since New 52 than ever before." Oh, Rob Liefeld. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you're a better human being because you should not follow Rob Liefeld on Twitter. He's terrible.
Okay, one, I don't think I follow him on Twitter, but he pops up in my feed a lot.
I blocked him just because I can't even see it on my feed just from retweets and something. It's terrible.
His avatar photo basically screams, I'm a crazy person.
So he gets we talked about what was that, Terrific Entertainment, right?
Fuck, I need to unfollow those motherfuckers.
So
it's horrible. No, it is horrible.
Oh, it is horror. It's
absolute fucking garbage.
They're nightmares. It's the funniest thing.
No, it's not. It's hard.
It's too much.
It's too much.
Yeah. So he gets his comic scammed away from him, and he's been raging on Twitter. I mean, for months now, but really the last couple of weeks about DC and how DC's like. He was like, "Oh, Boom's going to overtake DC." I'm like, okay, look, Once and Future and Something Killing the Children #1s did well, right?
Yeah,
they didn't outsell
it's Kieran Gillen
most.
And Colin,
they didn't outsell most DC books. Let's see what sales on #2 are like before we judge.
Although I will
Boom.
say this: both Once and Future and Something
we sold a shitload of them.
Really good books.
Good books, right? But his weird ass hatred of DC. I mean, he had those shitty ass covers on Justice League recently. He was working with them very recently, but clearly they were like, "No, thank you." Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, did you see that Superman cover that you give me shit for because it accidentally got ordered?
Oh, it's so fucking bad.
It was bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. So, I mean, life, you can blood out your ass. When you publish 2 comic books in a year, I'll care what you say, okay?
He does Major X.
I want to see the receipts on that book, okay? He drew the first issue. I'll give you that.
And he's done covers for it.
When he has written and drawn 2 comic books in a 12-month period, I will listen to what he has to say, okay?
What about J. Scott Campbell?
He doesn't do interiors ever. But he's not a raging dickhead. Like, I don't care. Like, he's fine.
They make statues of his art.
Yeah. Oh, could you imagine if they made Rob Liefeld statues?
The feet.
They've had a few statues inspired by like his.
No, like I want like a 3D model of one of his pieces of art, and just it would be the weirdest looking thing. Oh my god!
What's wrong with the feet?
Oh, it's terrible. All right, Chris Lockhart says, what 2 characters do normally not team up, but you want to see them team up, and what creative teams would you want to see work on? For me, I would love to see a 1940s Captain America team up with Captain Marvel, Shazam. Written by Mark Waid and art by Jim Lee. Well, sure. I'll take that. Yeah. Absolutely take that. Ever tell you about my New Warriors Sandman pitch I had in my head?
Fucking shut his mic off.
When I was younger. My two favorite things.
We peaked.
You remember classic Nova villain, the Sphinx that they fight that like rewrites all of reality.
Yes.
Well, wouldn't that attract Dream and the Endless? That's all I'm saying. Okay, I don't want to give this away because I'm gonna pull some strings.
Happen.
Okay,
your fanfic is never.
I'm gonna call Neil and just be like, I got a pitch for you.
Can you buy the Sphinx so we can write it in? Because you can get pennants cheap now.
Just Egyptian themed, like issue 50 of Sandman,
with Bast,
just with Sphinx.
You could have it with Bast
and the New Warriors. It's like, trust me,
you could have it with Bast.
Money on the table.
You know what I'm talking about, right? The cat.
Yeah.
So characters that don't normally team up that I would like to see team up and a creative team. If
you want the creative, clearly the creative team would be myself and Frank Quietly, like for my New Warrior Sandman team up. I mean, that's not even a question.
There has to be a penis in there somewhere.
Let's just move on.
Charlie is deep diving into staring at the wall.
Well, I always need.
All right, Brock. Harley Quinn and Geoforce will team up.
No, that's
okay.
That's boring. There's too many bad rock jokes in there. Characters that don't team up that I would like to see team up. Honestly, that's difficult.
See, if I could just start having fun with this, I could throw together like Samurai Jack and Doctor Who, Samurai Jack and Usagi, Samurai Jack.
There you go. That's the same thing.
Yeah,
those are just weird franchise crossovers.
Yes.
Samurai Jack and Usagi Jimbo would be really good.
Yes.
That would be
That'd be funny.
I admit that one would be good.
Well, while you're thinking, let me read this question from Craig. He's got another question, another thought question. So
Another thought question. Yeah, pile them on.
think of that, and so we'll
here.
think of this. Think of a question. We'll come back to you after I'm finished reading this, Brock. Okay. Craig Anderson says, "I'm assuming you're covering Doomsday Clock, X-Books, and Millennium. So I'll stay away from that. But for each of these books is about me waiting for a payoff. I've been waiting for great X-Books for years, waiting for Doomsday Clock, and at least Ryan and I we've been waiting for Legion to return triumphantly. So here's a question for the group. What has been the best comic book payoff you feel like you had to wait forever for? It could be a character reveal, plot twist, character return, or whatever."
Hal Jordan coming back for Charlie.
Yeah, I was going to say, Green Lantern Rebirth was
That's a good one.
Easy one for me.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's a tough question. There's been a lot of good returns. I talked about Heroes Return. Heroes Reborn. No, Heroes Return. Yes, Heroes Return, which was the late 90s Marvel kind of reboot of the Avengers and Fantastic Four titles. And after having lent them off to Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld and other people for a year, that was big for me. That Mark Waid, the Cap and Iron Man book, the Kurt Busiek, George Perez Avengers was really
Four?
Yeah. That was
who did?
Oh, who did it?
Wasn't it Wade?
No, later. I wasn't Wade at launch. I don't remember who did FF at first. I don't believe it was Wade because he did Iron Man and Cap. Anyway, that was a big way to get the real Avengers back after years of shitty Avengers and a year of the Image Avengers. So, Doomsday Clock is on that list as well. I'm very excited to see how that comes.
I'm eagerly awaiting 3 Jokers.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to have a cop-out, but seriously, 3 Jokers.
I mean, Doomsday Clock ending, Legion coming back, those are 2 very, very big things for me right now, both happening at the same time.
I mean, there's stuff that I've given up on, like the big Aquaman event that was supposed to happen.
Oh, God. It was Lobdell.
Was Scott Lobdell? Yeah. Carlos Pacheco did the art, maybe? I think it was Carlos Pacheco.
Might have been Pacheco. Let me go back to it.
Question for Tyler Willits.
She-Hulk.
He says, which cosmic is better, Marvel or DC? I'll throw my hat in for Marvel every time on the cosmic scale. Ooh. That's a tough one.
To me, it all depends on sort of the moment in time. Because in general, when you get into like the John's run of Green Lantern, you're never going to convince me that what was going on in Marvel at that time was a better cosmic.
Guardians was close. I mean, it's the same time.
Yeah,
they were good.
The Annihilation Conquest.
Yeah,
was really good.
I enjoyed that stuff.
Yeah,
but the Green Lantern stuff was whole nother level for me of fandom.
So you have Legion of Superheroes, Darkseid and New Gods, Green Lanterns, Dark Stars, Crisis,
anything Superman does in space,
Space Cabbie.
Oh, I love Space
Starman.
Oh God, Space
right?
Cabbie.
Did I say Legion?
That's the next Tom King.
I think I said Legion.
Lobo.
Legion. Lobo.
There's Lobo.
Right. I say Legion. That first batch.
Rebels.
Well, that's part of Legion. Yeah.
No.
Brainiac 5. Right.
The Source
Omega Men.
Omega Men. That's big space stuff. For Marvel, you have Guardians. You have Thanos. You have Galactus. Surfer. A lot of FF.
But the thing is like it's the space stuff tends to just be centered around one character or one thing at a time. Where like Green Lanterns is something that like continues to go.
Yeah, I mean the Eternals. I'm going to call it a wash. To me, they're both... fucking Adam Strange. How did I forget Adam Strange? It's a wash. To me...
Yeah, you forgot Hawkman?
Elements of Hawkman.
Thanagar?
Thanagar. Elements of Ran Thanagar.
The Dominators?
Guys with
the
Dominators.
Fucking dot on their heads.
I like the Dominators. Elements of both are, I think, among the best that Marvel and DC have to offer. they both have the same flaw, though, in that no matter what happens, the space stuff rarely is like the chart-topping, like, we are the... I mean, you've had it. Legion has been the best-selling DC book. The X-Men during... and Green Lantern was, right. Chris Claremont, John Byrne, all the Shi'ar stuff. Oh, and the Shi'ar, right? And Dark Phoenix, right?
We're forgetting the best thing. Starjammers.
Yeah, and then that's all the same era, right?
Sword.
Clearly, those elements are also were really big at that time, right? So, and X-Men was the biggest book. So, at points, the cosmic books have been the bigger and the best books at the companies, but it's not usually the case.
Yeah.
Right. John's being the top on Green Lantern for so long was I'm all but unheard of at DC. Like this Green Lantern never
unheard
been
of for that amount of time for any company.
Yeah. So I do love my favorite stuff at both companies is the cosmic stuff, just hands down. I love Legion. I love Silver Surfer. I love FF. I love Guardians.
Abnett and Lanning Guardians.
Well, original Guardians too. I love the old
Valentino
stuff. Yeah. I love the old stuff.
But like the Bendis stuff is.
I mean, the modern stuff's fine. I love the concept of the Guardians. I love Thanos. Pre-movies. I even love them. But I love Bizarro and Bizarro World and Brainiac 5 or Brainiac and Brainiac 5, obviously. But I love the Omega Men. Yeah, there's so many of the space stuff at DC is so good too. Yeah. To me, it's a wash, a Cascada wash.
As I said, for me, it all depends on the moment in time.
They know some dark side. It's just there's really good elements to both. Yeah. Here's a great question from Zach.
I thought we were going to go back to the team ups.
Oh yeah, you got one.
I mean, the team ups I'd probably like to see more of is I'd like to see them not fighting each other, but I think Booster Gold and Harley Quinn would be fun.
Oh yeah, they were in
here as a crisis, but they were fighting.
Yeah,
but if they're teaming up, that would be one effed up time book.
That'd be fun. Question from Zach. Let's get a little personal. He says, "What were your first impressions of all your co-hosts?" Oh man, I don't want to get in fights here. Well, let's start with the people that aren't here. Okay.
Yeah, go safely. Let's travel into this personal question.
Well,
safely.
I've known all you people all way too long in different fashions. So
you've known me the longest.
Quick hit. Brock was the very first person I really became friends with and when I moved to California as a kid.
We met over a Wizard magazine.
Yeah, in high school. We were freshmen in high school.
Yeah.
And I had a copy of Wizard magazine, and so instant friendship. Like, you like comic books? Sweet.
Yeah.
Charlie and Toby, it was a funny situation because I didn't really know them very well. They were customers, and the former owner of the store hired them as I was in the process of buying the store, which was a weird thing, because we needed more help, but it was sort of...
Yeah, but at that point, you had definitely known me
I knew,
since you started working at the store, basically.
Yeah. I knew you because you were a customer. Toby I didn't really know as well, but I knew him a little bit through you.
Yeah.
So that was a weird shift where this guy that comes in, now he's working. He's going to be working here, and that was when it sort of it sort of shifted a little bit, right? But that was quick. How long were you here before? Was it that long?
Yes, I was shopping here a lot. I have technically been working here longer than when I was just shopping here at this point.
I think I wonder if you saw Ken more than you saw me, because I remember you as a customer, but I don't remember it being for a very long time prior.
Well, no, because you were at Legends, but you came over.
But I was shopping here long before I was working at Legends. For those who haven't heard this story 50 billion times, but I literally started working at Legends, came in here just to sort of be by the way, Ryan,
full disclosure,
I got hired at Legends. And he's like, okay, I'll close. I'm like, don't close my box.
That's funny.
Yeah. But no, I had already been, because I was working at a company in Sunnyvale for a year and a half, shopping at conspiracy got laid off was laid off for quite a while. Like, I was a shot. Basically, I don't remember what year Comics and Comics burnt down, but this was the shop that I started shopping at after it burnt down. I may have putted around a little bit for 6 months, but like
Charlie was lost without a home.
Conspiracy became my new comic shop after that.
Yeah.
So so you've done me, and it's the worst relationship you've had.
Charlie, Charlie and Toby.
They're a two. It's a two.
Well, no, but again, it was Charlie first, but it was first impressions. Nothing negative, obviously, just kind of normal. And it's sort of the same with Scott, right? I mean, so Scott, again, long time customer here, right? This as long as I've been here. I think he was a customer here basically around the same time I started. Well, I was a customer here shortly after the store opened. I don't know if he started before me, but it was around the same time. Yeah. And my early impressions of Scott was, this dude buys a lot of old comics. My current impression of Scott is, this dude buys a lot of old comics. Like, he does. He loves his old stuff. So, everyone here has been either customer or employee, but a lot of them have come from being customers. So it's a little bit of a different relationship for me because I've been on the other side of the counter. So it works a little bit different. Like Bryce rolled in here one day, just like the Bryce from listening to this podcast, and you're just like, you have way too much energy. Again, what he does here is not an act. That's Bryce, right?
Yeah.
And we weren't arguing, but it was much like, what do you read? Oh, Green Lantern. What do you read? X-Men. Okay, well, you should read some Green Lantern. He's like, this Jeff Johns guy, I don't know this guy. It was right around that time, right, is when he first started shopping here. So I remember turning on to Green Lantern and Batman and some of the DC stuff, and he was like, I don't like this stuff. I can't read this. Oh, it's really good. Oh, okay. It seemed with Jim. Like, Jim was friends with the previous owner of the store. Customer
Jim
as
is
well.
Pretty much friends with almost any store.
Yeah. And so, I'm getting a lot of Jim and Lane sitting back there, right? A lot of the relationships just come from the store. So it's a little bit different. But it's all good.
I'm the only one outside.
I'm just having fun going, you can tell the internet wasn't a big thing when Comics and Comics burned down because I can't find the date online.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
You're going to have to go down to the library and look at the San Jose Mercury archives. So for me, again, you and I met over Wizard Magazine years ago. First impressions, like, you like comics? I like comics. Cool. Charlie, I met after I kind of started working here or doing stuff here. And my impression was, holy crap, this guy's tall. I was like, all right, this is Charlie. And then it branched into, man, he knows a lot of information. Toby, I guess my first impression of Toby is like, man, this guy has a lot of energy and yet is tired all the time. How is that humanly possible? And this was back when he was playing basketball.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know if he still does or not.
I don't think he's hurt himself.
And then, like, Scott and Kevin and Jim were just, because I was working here, just Scott's a guy that buys a lot of old comics, and he had me organize and give back to you his stuff he collected as a kid.
It's funny because there are definitely customers, like, I don't remember Kevin Sharp, how he started being a customer here. There's some people and it's not a slight against Kevin. It's just a weird, like, oh, it's Kevin.
Yeah, it's just
It's a weird where, like, there's a couple customers where I'm like, I don't really know them, and then out of nowhere you're sort of like, oh wait, you're here all the time, and now I know you. When the hell did you start shopping here?
Yeah.
How long ago was that? Kevin's one of those guys where I just very quickly attached myself to a little bit, right? So yeah, it happens. It happens a lot. Yeah. I mean, you and Toby were friends, and through the
so
legend.
Yeah. What was your first impression of Toby, and how did you meet Toby?
Okay, so my first impression of Toby is, this guy is crazy and is likely to give me a heart attack one of these days.
Still the same impression. So.
Because I remember working with Toby at Legends, and there's always that, like, okay, you get to a certain point on a ladder and you don't want to, like, keep going up. Toby's the kind of person that will go all the way to the top of the ladder, then jump off the ladder to get to what he needs to, and then expect to be able to get back on the ladder and back down
with the thing he got.
Yes. And that he just seemed to have no fear whatsoever about doing things that could go really, really badly if what he was jumping onto was not prepared to suddenly take that much more weight and that kind of stuff. But no, like, he and I got along really well, especially when it's the same kind of thing. Once you kind of have a common ground to talk to somebody on, you can talk and sort of be friendly. And with Toby and I, we would talk comics a lot and that kind of stuff. But
and working at the shop too, it's so easy to just, I mean, I have, especially on Wednesdays, just endless conversations with people, right? And some people aren't very talkative. Some people, I've had customers for 25 years and I've never said more than 3 words to them, right? I mean, it just, right? Some people are just like that. But some people, very quickly.
That's one of the weird kind of, like, shifts that have happened since I've gotten older in a family. Like, I used to hang out at the shop on Wednesdays and be here for, like, over an hour just chatting with people and that kind of stuff. And I'll be the first one to admit, because I'm horrible with names, that there's tons of customers where I'm like, I know that person. I can talk to that person. Would never be able to tell you the name whatsoever. And
why do you think I always say last name and then I find their first name?
Well, between being at the shop and the podcast, like, I am socialed out. Like, I used to DJ. I did a bunch of stuff. I go to a club. Right? I don't do anything anymore. It's so much work to be social.
So I want to give. I'll let you finish, Charlie. But I want to give everybody a little view of current Ryan Higgins. So earlier, I asked him while he was putting books on the wall. I was like, "So would you like, I don't know, like a week off where you can do nothing?"
Oh, it wouldn't be enough. I was debating if I could attach some sort of contraption into the panel ceiling that would just, when no customers around, I could just like me and just pull me up into the panel ceiling and lay down so I could sleep in the crawl space. And then if I heard the chime,
Nosferatu,
if the chime rang,
Nosferatu's
it just has me, and I just pull back down into my chair.
You have to just grab, like, the thing and, like, zip line down.
No, but I need it automatic because I won't wake up. I just want to nap while I'm at the store. So, like, just pull me down into the chair and I'll be like, and I'll wake up because the customer's in the store.
All right, Charlie, gotta go through the rest of the list.
So Ryan is absolutely he was the guy behind the counter for a long time before, like, he and I would have long conversations. And, like, I was always somewhat, like, one of the things that I really liked about shopping here for quite a while is, while my pulls were not always perfect, I could always give shit to Ryan when he wouldn't, like... We'd have big, long conversations about Ra's al Ghul, and I'd be like, let me know when anything Ra's al Ghul comes out. And then I'd just be perusing the shelf, and I'm like, why didn't you tell me this came out right?
It's called customer.com and cub.com.
Shit doesn't change. Like,
but then there were other stuff he'd always be like spot on, like, knew this, and that kind of stuff. And I always appreciated that.
Here's your tick.
And I like building up that relationship with the person behind the counter, so that worked really well for me, especially when things kind of settled here, so it was pretty much always you behind the counter. Brock was a little odd just because it was a walk into the shop, sometimes similar to what Ryan was saying about, like, just suddenly Charlie and Toby are working here. That's how it was for me and Brock. I just came in one day and Brock was doing work on the back issue bins. I'm like, I totally get that this stuff needs to happen. Have no clue who this person is.
And you'd be like, shit, ever since.
Kevin's a weird one because I've talked to Kevin a lot and stuff, but, like,
He's been through the podcast, right? I mean, almost
even then, like, when he did his introduction on the podcast and talked about working at Comics and Comics, I'm like, holy crap, how do I not recognize you? You used to be the guy behind the counter of the shop that I went prior to this shop. And that just shows you how bad my memory is.
Not as bad as his.
But, like, I feel like doing, like, Comic-Con with him and stuff really allowed me to get to know him a lot better than even on, like, the podcast and stuff. Because you have that chance to just sort of shoot the shit. And same with Lane. Lane and I would spend a lot more time at like Comic-Con and or waiting in line for like the movies through the shop.
Yeah.
Lane's just a guy that brought a present one time. I was like, cool.
Ari did Toby. Like Scott and Bryce, similar kind of things. Like I'd seen them around the shop a lot. I was kind of aware of them. But it wasn't until like the podcast and really starting to sort of socialize more.
They were very much like Wednesday Warriors, right?
Yeah.
So they were always coming.
And as
Wednesdays.
I said, I used to be a Wednesday guy, and then I transitioned away from that a long time ago.
Yeah.
So,
got one last question here from Patreon. It's from our good friend Darfox. Now let me read the first half. And then I'll read the second. First half is for me, second half is for the podcast. First half says, Ryan Higgins, you fucking coward. You can't appreciate Hideo Kojima's genius. You know, if Tom King, or I like how he says Golf Johns, not Jeff Johns, he wrote Golf Johns, that's my favorite, had babies and peeing and shit, you'd be all over it. Now Darfox, let me explain if anyone doesn't know what's going on.
I don't even know what's going on.
There's a video game coming out called Death Stranding by Metal Gear creator
the one that has,
Hideo Kojima.
What's his name in it?
Walking
Lane,
Dead guy.
help me.
Yeah.
Norm Reedus,
Yeah. Look, Darfox 8, you love Hideo Kojima. I hope this game is everything you want it to be. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be late. It's going to be a movie that you occasionally move a character around in. It's going to make no sense. Here's my honest fear, right? And I've only ever played like a couple of the early Metal Gears. I played Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. Like, I don't study him like you guys have, right? I understand people go fucking crazy for Kojima. But he was restrained to some degree here. This is just pure, raw Kojima. I'm worried it's going to be a disaster. I hope you guys get everything you want. I hope this is his masterpiece.
It's like, for them, it's like your David Lynch.
Sure. Well, David Lynch has really never been constrained. David Lynch has pretty much always done whatever he wanted. Twin Peaks was maybe because he worked with so many other people on that. That's the most, pulled back he's ever been, and it's also my favorite. But yes, I hope Death Stranding.
Are you going to get Death Stranding?
No. I hope I won't. I have no interest in it. I hope Death Stranding comes out this year. I hope it's amazing.
So apparently people need to buy you it and send it to the shop.
I wouldn't play it. I have no interest. I played the
first
first
note that says for retirement.
Nah, no, just straight honest. I wouldn't play it. I mean, if people tell me it is legitimately like
a good game,
one of the best games they've ever played, not Darfox and Ryan Scott. If like non-Kojima people tell me it's amazing, then I'll play it. But otherwise, it's going to be a giant movie. I don't care.
I read somewhere that it's going to have a movie mode.
Exactly. Yeah, there's like a very easy that you just basically hit a button and it's a movie.
Yeah.
Right. He says, okay, on to the real question. I'm reading Mr. Miracle. This is the second Tom King book after Vision that I've read. Is there a reading order you'd recommend for Tom King? I think I wouldn't enjoy this as much if I hadn't read Vision. Curious if Tom King's a writer you're better off ramping into. So is there like a specific order to read his stuff? And I think Mr. Miracle is more difficult than Vision. I think
it is.
Vision's a really good place to start. I think Omega Men is more difficult than Vision.
Omega Men is that's hard.
Even more than Mr. Miracle. It's a tough book.
Just because the characters that he's tackling in that book are very, like you said, they're obscure characters, and the themes that he's tackling in that book are...
Omega Man, I feel like the story is very easy to follow.
Yes, that I will say. We'll agree with, sorry.
I feel like Vision is also pretty easy to follow. Mr. Miracle, you kind of have to read between the lines on some of it, and a lot of it is left open to interpretation in parts, which is great. I don't know. I guess it depends on the type of story that you're looking for. If you want something more grounded in like family, then do Vision first. If you want something more
I
like
think
linear,
I think you're getting to something good there. There's points. Giving somebody a Tom King reading list is not necessarily the best way to do it. Giving people a Tom King that they can latch onto is the better way. So, family, themes, whatever, do the vision. If it's like, I love superheroes, I love Batman, then just throw him into his Batman. If it's like, I want again, an in-depth dive at being an adult and all the things that entails, Mr. Miracle. If you're just like, I want to read something that's not comic book related at all, Sheriff of Babylon is amazing, right?
Yeah.
But again, like, it's where do you start them at? It's I think is, if they like spy stuff, then aim them towards Grayson, right?
Yeah.
So again,
I think Batman is of the current stuff is the easiest to get into because it's Batman. Everyone knows Batman. All right, we have a couple questions, a couple more. We're going to hit a couple of these before we wrap up.
So just for our listeners, the final question that he was asking was from Patreon.
Yeah,
now
Patreon.
We're moving on to the Twitters.
Yep. Got a few from Twitter. This is from CrossX Hunter on Twitter. He says, how damaged does merchandise need to be before you report it to Diamond for a replacement or a refund or whatever it is you guys do? Frayed edges and corners with bent pages, tears and marks. Cross was asking me about if comic books or graphic novels come like shrink wrapped or anything like that, and to prevent them from like rubbing up against the boards. Yeah, no. Like hardcovers do, and some product does, but almost nothing.
Yeah. Well, freebies come shrink wrapped.
Well, stuff that comes like in a there are things that come in like a pack of 25, right?
Yeah.
Those will come shrink wrapped. But yeah, no. If something is dinged. If there's little scuff marks, we put them on the shelf. A lot of people don't care. If it's a graphic novel, it's ding, bent corner, bent page. Books like that, I mean, we call them damaged. A little scuff, they don't give me shit about it, but I wouldn't call it a little scuff.
It kind of has to... Like,
a little scuff on a 1/500 variant cover, I will call it.
Yeah. If it's something like a actual bent page... and there's a crease line, that's a call-in.
Yeah.
But if it's something where, like, it kind of just got rolled a bit,
it can.
But there's no real actual...
Yeah.
So,
a lot of customers don't care.
I was just going to say, I would say the real honest answer to this is, depends on who the item's for. If it's just normal shelf stuff, yeah, you can live with a lot. If it's for Toby, the slightest mark is going back damaged.
Yeah. So
I'm guilty of that too sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, Diamond has. I don't think Diamond is. I hear from stores all the time where they're like, "Oh, Diamond says this isn't damaged." I've never once had Diamond say something wasn't damaged that I sent back. So yeah, and I even had stuff that was kind of rolled that I called in. That by the time I sent it back, having been under the pressure of all the other books, it kind of flattened out.
Yeah,
but they've never given me shit for it, so I've never had a problem.
Well, and like things like
I also don't call in a lot of stuff.
Those little flares in the top corner of a book where there's too many pages. That's just a production thing. Yep. That's not something that if you're talking about a huge scuff mark that's all the way down the page, you're calling
damaged.
it in.
Yeah.
But if it's like creased, like a little scuff here, but it's on every book, that's a publication thing.
Yeah.
So I guess to put this in another way, if these were CGC'd, what number would they have to be at for you to consider calling them in damaged?
Say like any point now, probably. I mean, I think if there is legitimate like a bend crease, not just like some spine stress, but like a legitimate like crushed corner, or I mean, some of the stuff would make like a 0.5 instantly. Like if its cover's torn, this fold on it, things like that, giant crease. That stuff I'll call in. UPS sends us a box and it gets dropped on the corner and smashes the entire side of the box. Yeah, that's getting called in, right? So, a question from Jeremy says, "What kind of supplies do you guys offer customers?" Usual, Toby. Usually, I don't offer Toby. I don't offer Toby.
The usual
supplies.
Toby.
Toby's here.
What's up? My name is Scott.
Do you guys offer bags of boards? Do you offer any high-end material like Mylights and halfbacks? You know what? I've carried some halfbacks. I've carried some Mylights. I've carried some Mylars. We sell so little of them. People ask for them occasionally, and no one wants to buy them. So I just don't. I don't stock them. It's mostly just bags of boards.
Special orders on those ones.
Current. silver, gold.
We use the BCW.
All BCW. Yep.
Boards and bags.
Yep.
Why did I walk in on that question?
That's just, you want some.
Charlie might know the story. Someone called in at the store, at the previous store that I worked at, and asked for purpling bags. I understood it as purple something bats. So I kept asking, do we have purple bat bags, whatever they're called? And everybody was very confused. So,
yeah.
There's that.
We sell mailers occasionally, but not very often.
No, Toby missed the more interesting question.
Oh, which one was that?
We had somebody ask about each of our first impressions of each other.
Oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
So your fellow, what was your first impression of your fellow hosts?
Well, Charlie, my first impression was like, who the hell did X just hire?
That was my impression of you two.
Yeah, and damn, he's tall.
that was
mine.
That was Brock's impression of Charlie.
And then it was like, he's a little quirky because I didn't quite figure him out yet. You know, he put out this little HeroClix because we were not in the same store. The store we were at the time had a gaming store on the other side and had a comic book store on the opposite side. So he was more, I mean, he worked both, but he was more over at the gaming side doing the HeroClix stuff.
Oh, I can just imagine Toby and Charlie staring at each other.
No, Charlie was a very peaceful.
Opposite sides
No,
of the mall.
Charlie was a peaceful giant. It was me that was like staring him down, going, "Who the fuck is that guy?"
Toby likes to throw dice.
Yeah, well, I've forgotten about that. Or stuffed teddy bears that are shaped like Batman. But
Batman
no,
kills babies.
I think I told the story on the podcast before. I figured out Charlie was actually on point on his comic book reading, which confused the hell out of me because I never saw him buy any books. So one day I approached him. I'm like, man, seriously, what the hell is your secret? Because I never see you buy any books, yet you're always on top of your comic book reading. So what's going on? He goes, well, you know, the store I used to shop at still gives me the same discount, which is the same discount these guys give me, so I never saw a point of leaving. I'm like, well, what store is that? Which leads into me meeting Ryan. Charlie brought me over to the current store, and I got to meet Ryan Higgins. And Ryan was a nice guy because it was pre-hub days. He actually really took care of his people.
Which is the complete opposite of what Charlie said he did.
He ordered some variants that, you know, at the other shop we didn't order, and I was like, oh man, there's some Jim Lee variants I missed. So I was actually kind of excited. So. Yeah, but I don't know what Ryan found me. He was like weird. He was like, hey, yeah, man, what's up? Oh, the other store, hey? Oh, all right. I think that's the most I got out of Ryan at the time.
Is that what I sound like?
Yeah, I don't think we became friends until you revealed that you were going to buy a store. I'm like, I'm all for it. What do you need from me? Yeah. Brock was an interesting one, too. He just showed up one day.
That's what Charlie said.
Yeah, he just appeared one day, and I realized he was one of Ryan's friends from before, and that was kind of it. Who else is here? Sam was an interesting one. Yeah.
You got Bryce, Scott, Kevin.
Oh, Bryce
Jim.
hated me, man. I know. Bryce would not talk to me. Bryce would come in and talk to Ryan, and I'd be like trying to have a conversation. He's like, no, fuck off. I'm talking to Ryan Higgins here, please. Please don't talk to me.
Ryan Higgins.
I was like, what a jackhole. And also, I thought he was gay because he was always dressed really well. So I didn't think he was straight. He had a hair. I seriously thought he was a gay dude. Anyway, so we had one of those famous Ryan Higgins movie screenings probably for a DC movie because he didn't do those for Marvel. And for some reason, I had to sit next to Bryce at the time, and I think even Bryce was like, why are you sitting next to me? And then I think we just started talking.
I can't sit next to everyone, okay?
Yeah, it was. Bryce was like, where's Ryan Higgins? Why is this weird dude sitting next to me? And I'm like, why do I have to sit next to
pass out masks
the very well-dressed gay man? So, but, you know, I think at that movie screening, I think we figured each other out a little bit and go, oh, that guy's not so bad. And we got along after that.
They were put together in a dark room.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think it was the first beer. They were like, "Oh, alcohol? Okay, yeah,
we're
best friends."
We get along. I see Lane over there. He's in the audience. That's a funny one too. I actually was helping him at the previous location. I rung him up, but we really met at Comic-Con. We were in line together, probably for Jim Lee or something. And I started talking to people in line like you usually do, and he was either one or two down, and blah blah, and talking to me. Like, oh yeah, I know you. I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, I buy comic books from you. I come to the store. I was like, oh shit, you're a local guy. And that's like, when we became friends, was actually standing in line. Not locally, but in San Diego. Yeah. Kevin was also a strange person that just showed up one day and was Ryan's friend. So was your DJ Heaven friend, Kevin, the other DJ.
He's not on the podcast.
Yeah, but well, who else is there?
Toby's just going to say his reactions to like every single person who's ever come through the shop.
Scott, I want to say I knew him from before.
He probably came in the Legends, I'm sure.
Yeah, I want to say he wasn't a complete stranger.
Was your first impression, this guy buys a lot of old comics?
No.
That was our first impression.
Really? No.
Scott loves his old books.
Well, also, a lot of times he didn't actually buy the books from me, so... Yeah.
And then Jim.
Jim?
Jim was probably just because he was here, because he was Ken's.
I think, some of these are hard, because some of these, you get to know them over the years, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of the guys here at the shop that I will call friends now, or I am calling friends now, were customers first that you would see, and you see them week after week. Eventually, you have a couple of conversations. Before you know it, you become friends. Before you know it, they help you out on your car. Before you know it, you have dinners and have drinks together and go watch movies together. So I actually don't know all the genesis of all our friendships. But
Yeah.
So
that's how I felt with a few people. I'm like,
I
was saying this about Kevin Sharp. I'm just like, he was just here one day.
Well, Kevin Sharp was a guy that you told legends of. This is this guy that used to work in L.A. on movies, and he pitched a Green Lantern movie, and he was working at WB as a writer, and then he went, that's the Kevin Sharp, that's the dude. That's exactly how you act.
I like how it changes. And it's nowhere near a Boston one.
I can't do a Boston one. Are you kidding me? I can't barely do my own correctly.
Question from Ryan. See, not myself.
Well, I want to know what you're going to follow me. I fucking revealed everything.
Oh, yeah, we go listen to the podcast. We go listen 20 minutes ago. Charlie said he thought you were a crazy man. Climbing up ladders.
Oh, dude, I did. I did. We had to get all this shit from the very top. I'm like, fucking ladder's not going to fit in here. I'm just going to climb all over this shit. And the shit was not even, set. It was wiggling. I'm like, that's all right. As long as I don't die.
Mine was, this guy's very, very hyper and yet tired at the same time. How is that possible?
Yeah. That's
And you played basketball a lot.
I still do. I'm still very hyper and still very tired. So that's all correct, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Ryan? You already brought it out. You might as well give me the 2-second version of it.
What? Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was like, Toby and Charlie were these random people that
Ken hired.
that Ken hired while I was trying to buy the store. And I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, again,
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I knew
Bryce
Charlie.
and The Rock say it. You're welcome.
I knew Charlie, but I was like, wait, what?
Hey, man, I brought you some customers.
Yeah, I know.
And not all of them were good, but a lot of them were.
Question from Ryan, not myself. He goes, I hope this makes it in. Of course, you got it here. He goes, but who are your favorite non-comic book authors? I'll leave this to the rest of the table. So,
non-comic book authors?
Yeah.
Like no comic books whatsoever?
Yeah.
Well, I need pictures in my books. So
I read, unfortunately,
no prose?
minimal prose in the current day. I used to.
You read articles.
I used to read all the time. I used to read, I've read a bunch of junky sci-fi and fantasy stuff. I read a ton of Star Trek books, tons of Forgotten Realm titles. Roger Zelazny, I liked him a lot. Amber, I liked that quite a bit. But I don't.
Do you have a favorite author from the stuff that you read when you were younger?
It's just because I read their stuff. I don't know that they're my favorite. It's just the people I read.
Yeah, that's
right.
I'm pretty much in the same boat.
You read a lot, though. You read a lot of novels.
Well,
but you do.
I try to read a fair amount. I read the Star Wars, the new canon stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm really enjoying.
But even you read non-nerdy stuff.
Yeah, I read
what's non-nerdy?
Michael Connolly, who's does that Bosch. The Bosch TV show on Amazon is based on his novels.
That's non-nerdy?
No, it's
with all the spy shit counts
that's
as non-nerdy?
Jack Ryan.
Yeah, but would that count as non-nerdy?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, really?
Yeah. I read, John Irving did Cider House Rules, World According to Garp. Richard Russo, who did the one of his was turned into Empire Falls, the HBO thing that was out years ago.
Don't even know it.
I read
Who else have I read? Like, one of my favorite books ever, and I never really read anything past, like, I read, I think maybe one book past it was Pierce Anthony's A Spell for Chameleon. Like, I love that book, but I never stuck with the Xanth series because I was just like, yeah, like, I'm currently reading Evan Winter, which is The Rage of Dragons, which is pretty interesting.
Read all Game of Thrones, too?
Yeah, but that's technically tied to comics because of some of his work.
No, it's not bullshit.
No.
It's nerdy shit, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all
I've read George R. Martin, Tolkien. I'm trying to. Nick Hornsby. Mm-hmm. You'd like him, High Fidelity guy.
I read I read. What else did he do?
About a Boy.
I read High Fidelity, and I thought I read something else by him, but that was forever ago.
Tim O'Brien, however you want to say it. That was one from like high school. The Things They Carried.
Okay.
So
I realize I actually do read books. They're just all nonfiction. Like if they're fiction, I need pictures and visual shit.
Yeah,
no,
doesn't have to do nonfiction.
I read a lot of biographies. I read a lot of film theory books, a lot of screenwriting books, but a lot of biographies. Like I like the Trevor Noah book a lot. That's one of my favorite things I ever read.
I read a segment from that book where
it's amazing.
He talks about his
Dog?
relationship with his mom.
Oh yeah, well the whole book is about his
and
mom
running. And she throws him from the bus.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
No, it's an excellent book. The Kevin Hart book was really good. The Snoop Dogg book is really good. Actually, believe it's you won't like it because he talks in that euphonics or whatever you call it.
The ebonics.
Yeah. I mean, you read it, you know it's him. But it's actually a very entertaining book, though. It's a lot of fun to read. A lot of basketball players' books. But yeah, Save the Cat is one of my favorite books
yes.
ever. Yeah,
up top.
That's the first time we'll ever do that, and the last that we'll
probably.
Yeah, but Save the Cat is an excellent book. I like all the cat books. But yeah, no, it's usually if it's fiction, I generally like pictures to go with it. There's like picture books I like, like for kids. I enjoy it, like Llama Llama. Safe to pajama.
So, as a kid,
everything Doctor Who.
I read Pierce Anthony's Spell for Chameleon. I made it farther into the Xanth series than you did,
because I think I got to Castle or something. Or the next
Terry
one.
Brooks with the Shannara series.
I read that.
I've been actually going back through that on Audible recently.
It's a lot of Audible. Yeah, I love Audible.
I do like some of the biographies, even some of the fictional biography stuff. Like,
what's fictional biography?
So Bruce Campbell did a real biography, and then his follow-up book was similar to that, but about stuff that didn't actually happen.
Oh, I'm game for that.
Yeah. So that was cool. I like that. And then he has another book now that I haven't read yet. But right now I'm reading an autobiography of Nicholas Courtney, who played the Brigadier on Doctor Who. So there you go.
Nice. Yeah.
No.
I read Kevin Sharp's book.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That was really good.
Oh, I got one that Ryan will love. I read all of Kevin Smith's other books.
Like books?
Yeah.
I didn't know he did any.
Those are great. Yeah. He has like 3 or 4 of them.
Cool.
They're all really good.
It's kind of like just biography
shit.
stuff.
Yeah, he goes like, I forgot. Oh, hold on. What's the titles? Like one is like Fat Man Speaks or something like that.
Yeah.
It's something in that vein. I'm not remembering the title right away right now.
I don't know. This is probably something. Any of you read Stephen King?
No.
In German.
The only thing I read by Stephen...
translated.
We talked about this last night. We were talking about It on the Geek Box. The only Stephen King I've ever read is I read the unedited version of The Stand. It is like 1,300 pages long or something.
The only thing I've read from
it's fantastic.
The only thing I read from Stephen King, which you might like, Charlie or Toby, is On Writing. It's his memoir on writing. That one was really good.
Oh wait, I heard about that one.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 or 2 more questions here before we wrap up. Question from Cole. He says, I've always been curious about the Silver Age of comics, but I've never, not interested enough to actually read something from that era.
Was that question from last week?
It should have been.
I don't know. I don't think so. Is it homage like DC's New Frontier an acceptable substitute? Yeah, absolutely.
I love the New Frontier.
Yeah,
to this day, still my favorite animated DC movie also.
New Frontier, Golden Age, Marvels from Marvel. We talked about that a few weeks ago. I think all those books, you get the tone, but not the quality. And that's not an insult to those books, but it could be difficult to go back to read those if you never read. I think some are fine. I think some are really tough. The thing that I have to remind a lot of people, if you're going to read old comics, they were not meant to be in a trade paperback. They were not meant to be read by adults, and they were not meant to be read multiple times. They were meant to be read by children once and thrown in the trash, right? And this even goes into the 60s, right? And it's mentality of collecting and adults reading them. Clearly, some teenagers and adults read them, but it was even the early Marvel stuff in the 60s. I mean, that was not the – they didn't – it wasn't until later that they realized, oh, we actually are getting more adult readers. Yeah. You don't want to read a omnibus of Golden Age material where you're reading 20 issues in a row. It is going to be very difficult to get through.
Yeah.
Silver Age stuff stands up a little bit better, Marvel over DC especially. I think you can read those early issues of Spider-Man, no problem. But read one at a time. Mm-hmm. Give us some time between issues because they are different than modern books.
Yes.
But yeah, if you want to read New Frontier, Golden Age, Marvels.
Well, a great thing to do is kind of just grab those facsimile editions that are coming out from
one
DC.
issue.
Just grab one and check it out and see if it's something that you're interested in.
Yeah.
Because I'd never read the origin of Ra's al Ghul, and I've read it now, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, but it wasn't a slog to read it. I was like, I'm just reading this, and I'm done.
Just the one. Yep. So. Even that, I mean, that's 70s, but it's not the same as today. It's different. Question from Tony. Sorry, he says, how are sales on trades and omnibuses at the shop? Are they growing? They're growing because we moved, but yeah, we do really well with trades and omnibuses. Mm-hmm. We still sell more single issues, actually, by quite a bit, but our trade sales are way up. And we always do well with omnibuses. We don't have to discount them crazy.
The thing is with the omnibuses too, I think with just...
And they go out of print.
Like your social media presence, people's just knowing they go out of print.
Yeah.
I'm
not selling dozens of them, but we sell
But the thing is,
a couple
I've noticed
each.
we've gotten more and more pre-orders on those types of items than we used to in the past.
I think the Jonah Hex omnibus, I have like 3 or 4 pre-orders for, right? I mean, that's...
We're sitting right here.
I need to go back through the ones I've solicited recently.
Yeah. So we do good with omnibuses. Again, good for me. I don't know what good is. Good for me is selling 3 or 4 of them. That's good, right? Because it's a $150 book. Right?
Well, I mean,
we sold like that Kirby Fourth World omnibus. I think we pre-sold 15? Like 6 or 8 of them or something like that. But then
15
more.
Total.
Yeah, totally. It's from Rawl. He says, since the Joker a review started coming out, I know some critics were worried about how the film could be dangerous for the wrong kinds of audience. What are your thoughts on this? We talked about this a little bit.
It's only dangerous for Ryan Higgins, who people can find.
Dangerous for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because they know where you live.
Yeah.
Well, where you
work.
Well,
where I work. Basically where I live.
I know where you live. That might be dangerous, too.
With your talk earlier about something taking you into the ceiling.
Yeah. What Raul was saying here, I heard this. I think it's mostly bullshit because crazy people are going to do crazy shit regardless of what the trigger is.
The thing is like what we had the same thing with. I mean,
same thing with Dark Knight.
Dark Knight, you have the same thing with anything. Like, I mean, Catcher in the Rye is notorious with Lee Harvey Oswald. Like, you have things in society that crazy people will latch onto as that's their mantra.
It's not Joker. It's going to be something else.
And that's the thing is like it's never giving them a free pass to be assholes or jerks or murderers or whatever. That's not what the content's there for. The content's there to entertain us, to give us a story. And people that take that story and translate it into that is not something that's the movie or book or whatever's fault. It's the fault of the person that's and their filter.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think that anything like that should ever be pulled because of the potential that someone could use it as an excuse for their horrible behavior.
Well, like, I remember
nonsense.
I remember when Sons of Anarchy was airing and they had a shooting at a school and they were tempted to not do it because of just the climate at the time. I'm like, it's part of your story. That's what you wrote. Like, just put it out. Like, there's nothing we can do.
That I consider somewhat different. I don't mind a delay on something because of the stuff going on at the time. Yeah. I agree it shouldn't be edited or removed, but I totally understand it when they go, we're going to delay releasing this by 2 weeks or a month just because of the the time of events in real life. And
hey, but guess what? It never stops.
Yeah.
So there's never a good time to release anything.
Yeah,
it depends on the subject matter.
Sure. Not a question, but final comment here from Bones. He says, I started watching The Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
Yes!
Thanks to comments on the Comic Conspiracy podcast.
Ryan is a hater.
I'm not a hater. I liked it.
Sure.
That show is definitely
about it.
Wow, that show is definitely a 5-ticket ride.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. A 5-ticket ride.
Doesn't matter.
It's
means
part of
it's 5 stars.
It's part of this game that Toby's addicted to called Ticket to Ride.
It's actually not.
You got 5 tickets to ride.
5 whatever.
Yeah.
To you.
Yeah. I enjoy listening to the podcast on the way to work on Wednesdays. Keep up the great work. Cheers from Alberta, Canada. Well, thank you, Bones.
Nice.
Thank you for listening to this podcast.
A nice library edition hardcover for the first volume just came out.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up on the wall.
How many does Ryan have?
Like
I got one left. I think there's one up there. We got a couple pre-orders, but yeah, one up there. So that's it. That's a podcast. Before we wrap up, it's that old Patreon time.
That time of the month for
we
Patreon.
gotta thank some of our good Patronus. Including Joe Duff, Sam Che,
Patronus is a drink that you drink in a little shot glass.
Andrew Nelson Mendez over a Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast, Craig Anderson. If you're a professional and you want to become an even better professional, you should go over to CraigPAnderson.com.
He'll make you even more professional.
He is. And he had some posts on Facebook being like, wow, things are very different when you own your own business. Yeah, it's very different. That's all I'll say. Yeah. It is very different, Craig. And James Law is new high tier backer. So thank all of you guys very much.
Nothing to plug for James?
I didn't hear anything, so I'll follow up with them now for next week. We want to also thank all of our $5 backers. If you want to be on this podcast during our end of beginning of the month segment, like this is here, please go over to patreon.com/comicconspiracy. Kick us a couple bucks. There's all sorts of little tiers. We have a Q&A thread on the Patreon forum that we'll read every week, and then we do select Twitter questions if we have time. And that's for any level.
I think the listeners really want that all-nighter podcast.
No. Dennis Janssen, going to be Bryce here. Alex McHale, David Baroldi, Don Kilson, Mark Long, Stephen Sepia. Again, I'm terrible. If I mispronounce your name constantly, let me know, please. Ivan Liskanik, Brian.
Email him an attachment where you just say your name.
Marowski. It's John. It's just call me John. Miles Gakula, Zach Johnson, who just had a question there. Bryce Larson quotes.
Oh,
what?
Bryce Larson quotes was very happy to troll me about my Guardians of the Galaxy movie watching. Paula Schultz, Joseph Rodriguez, Jack Ildefonso, Christopher Noyes, David Safar, Brian Wyckoff, Joe Cacciadorian over at Identity Stunt. Go check out his comic. PJ Ryder, Josh Elliott, Tyler Willits, Rob Ben Dixon, Trevor Fleischman, Tim Martin, Ames Foster, Mason Barber, Anirban Banerjee, Robert Lane, Andrew Nikovich, Brendan McGowan, Timothy R., Chris Lockhart. This feels like way more people than normal. Aaron Wright, Father Dante, Christopher Hythe, Chris Palaki, Julian Titus, Chris Olivis, Wally Ansari.
He doesn't have something new, does he?
List of the Living Dead, Chris Bunch, Malvi.
Wait. No pants?
He's right there. Julian Titus.
Well, what about the no pants?
I mean, if you want to listen to his podcast, you could follow Julian Titus on Twitter or go watch go listen to his podcast, Nerds Without Pants. But he's just a normal backer now. That's perfectly
He's a
fine.
normal patronio.
That's totally fine. Malvi, Edgar Moreno, and Andrew Crucieri. Thank you guys all very much for your continued support over at patreon.com/comicconspiracy. And let's see, what else have we got? We got podcasts. That's comicconspiracypodcast.com, geekbox.net, and Apple Podcast. You should check out all our previous episodes. YouTube.com/comicsconspiracy. That's comics with an S. Because it's also store stuff on there as well. Not much, but it's mostly the podcast. But there is potentially store stuff on there. If you just want to hear this episode through YouTube, you can go there and listen to it there. The Comic Conspiracy Podcast at geekbox.net for those long-form questions. You can send it to our email address.
That will answer in 5 or 7 years.
Oh, and digital comicsconspiracy.biz, our digital storefront. After mentioning it last week,
Ready?
It's down. It's officially over. The comic store's affiliation for every comic store.
Yeah, I found it out last week.
Yeah,
I went to go click on the link because I normally use our link.
So it wasn't one of those things, if he didn't fucking ask, you could have kept it going, and then because he asked, you were like, oh shit, it's still on? Yeah, thanks about that.
No, they had to send out emails to people that were, to the customers that were subscribers to books. So if you subscribed digitally, they had to inform you that your subscription was going away, and you had to resubscribe through Comixology itself. So every customer should have received a message saying, hey, your digital comic shops
really are
shutting down. Yeah, it's over. It's done. It's done. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah,
it's done.
just say it. They're fucking you.
Yeah, because when you click on that link now, it goes
that's
to...
okay. We have mail order and all sorts of other ways.
Comicsconspiracy.biz.
That's where it links you to now.
Yeah.
You can order Brock.
No.
You can order Brock?
Yeah.
I'll put them in the hub right now.
Yeah, excellent.
Brock, let me scan you.
How much does a Brock go for?
A barcode. Go to Comics
I just can't wait till we all have like headshots in there that people can
signed headshots. Great.
Comicsconspiracy.biz is where you can go to order physical comic books from us. Of course, customer.comichub.com is where you can go to set up a subscription for the store. We've added so many new subscribers recently.
Thank you, House
crazy.
of X and Powers of X.
Oh, it's even more. I mean, even beyond that, it's been
and Tom King's.
It's everything. It's crazy. So if you're missing your books, if you love those variant covers, you want to get in, make sure you go to customer.comichub.com, sign up, and we do mail order.
And hopefully the hub's going to be improving some stuff soon that's going to make it a lot easier.
Yep, a lot of updates coming there. They've done a lot of back work. Now the front-facing stuff is coming, as far as I know. Conspiratobrock.com, that's Brock's blog, video pull list, and unboxing videos. Charlie's got Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast. That's his Doctor Who podcast. And Etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. That is my wife, Leanne's Etsy store. You can go on there and buy her artwork on there.
She's got a Joker.
A lot of commissions. Yep. She just did a Joker based on the new movie. So it's a fun piece. If you're on Twitter, you can follow all of us. Ryan Higgins Ryan. That's myself. Brock is Brock Sager. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie is Insanity in Chaos. The store is Comics Con Store, STORE. Please go follow all of us. We appreciate it. And make sure you also check out the Geekbox Comedy Button, Manga Machinations, and Infinite Binge. A few other things our friends do. Yes, that's podcasts. Go listen to this as well. We're done. We're going to wrap up this episode now. We'll be back next week. Probably more.
As usual.
Hopefully more news to talk about. But we do those questions too. Questions are very fun. I've just got a lot of questions to fill in that empty time. If we're running a little low on topics, that's good. There's always more comic news.
It never ends.